please understand again the strategy of all the certification examination is you have to interpret the question in the right context and the right perspective. Then you will get the right answer. It's all about interpreting the question. So to interpret the question, you would have to read the question properly. Okay. Hello.
Okay.
And so that is the first task. You have a different determine value proposition which is there here. So collect and analyze information from a variety of sources using valuation tools and techniques to contribute to determining the value proposition of the initiative. Initiative is nothing but a project. So value tools and techniques is one more bucket which PMI-PBA has introduced. So when you talk about valuation tools and techniques, here all the valuation tools and techniques, you will definitely have financial models. You're getting it? So if you see, cost benefit analysis has come, your feasibility analysis has come, force field analysis has come. When I talk about a force field analysis, I'll see if I can show you some example. Force field analysis is all about if you're proposing a change which is nothing but an initiative or a project, what are the forces which are supporting the change and what are the forces which are opposing the changes. And it should always be the forces which are supporting the change should always be greater than the forces which are opposing the change. So when you do that kind of an exercise, you're doing force field analysis. Okay. You also have SWOT analysis. I think yesterday I showed you SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunity, threat. Value analysis: what is the value chain that you have to bring about the value. Net promotion score. Kano model. Kano model is a very for prioritization of requirements. We use it in agile. In agile projects, Kano model is used. Which are the things which are necessary things, which are exciters? All such things are basically spoken out here. So when we talk about this, this is about the second task which we talk about is determine value proposition, where we talk about valuation tools and techniques. And when we speak about these valuation tools and techniques, these are the techniques that we have which are used in the determine value proposition task. Now you have got the business case. In the first case, you have the business case here. You've already had a business case here. From the business case, you have picked up one particular project. For every project, you have got all these details mentioned. Now, for that particular project, you will go to the third task, which is called what? Identify, develop project goals. What is the goal? Now, collaborate in the development of project goals and objectives by providing clarification of business needs and solution scope in order to align the product with the organizational goals and objectives. Now tell me one thing. In a business case, how many options we had? In a business case of our commute from point A to point B, how many options we had? We had 3 options.
3 options, yeah.
Out of the 3 options, you have picked up one option now. You have already taken one option. Let's say you have taken expressway. For that expressway, you're coming up with the goals. You're identifying clearly the goals, and you're also identifying what is going to be in scope and what is going to be out of scope. And I believe all IT folks, you all come from an IT background. You all know the importance of in scope and out of scope. We have to clearly formulate the boundaries of your project. If we don't formulate the boundaries of a project, our projects are always going to start and they are never going to complete. That's where your this particular scope models are going to be very, very important. Where to go for scope models, you'll go for a context diagrams. Context diagrams are a very good source to determine the in scope and out of scope. Ecosystem map, what is the landscape in which you're working. You can also use a feature model. Use case diagrams are also very, very high level. If you see, use case diagrams are used in Agile. If you want to define an epic or something, your use case models are used, which are further broken down. So they're at a very high level. So here you are basically trying to define what is the project goal. Can anybody tell me what is the key document which gets created here when you create this to go for develop project goal?
Project charter.
Which fantastic. Who gave that? Absolutely. Project charter is ready now. And the project charter, once it is ready, it basically means that project charter is a starting point of the project, and your funding is available. Your overall project objectives have been identified. All that has happened in this one. So project goal is done now. Now, do you mean to say if these tasks are listed in a sequential way, are they done in sequential or are they happening parallelly? That was a question for you. They will happen parallelly. They will happen parallelly. They can happen sequentially, or they can happen. Or they can happen. They can happen. Or they can happen iteratively too. So when you have identified the project goals, you also need to identify who are your stakeholders, and that's where your stakeholder analysis is going to come into picture. And when we talk about the stakeholder analysis, identify stakeholders by reviewing goals, objectives, and requirements in order that an appropriate parties are represented, informed, and involved. That's where you do stakeholder analysis. And when you're doing stakeholder analysis, you can do stakeholder analysis on all these parameters. What are the parameters? You can analyze the stakeholders on the basis of their job analysis. Organizational chart. If I talk about organizational chart, what is an organizational chart? When I speak about this organizational chart, this is the one. It's a representation of your organizational hierarchy, and you must have seen it basically tells you a picture of who reports to whom. Okay, CEO, below CEO there are some other executives, below them there are some other. So that is the organizational chart, which clearly gives you an understanding who is placed at which point of the organizational hierarchy, what are the roles and responsibility, what is the power quotient of that particular stakeholder. You will come to know all that information by using organizational chart. This is a very good organizational chart is a good thing that what we use. We also can use personas. When I talk about personas, I believe if you have worked on Agile, you would have seen in Agile, we define personas. And when we talk about defining a persona, persona is defining a personality to a particular stakeholder who may be one of the users. So you can say this particular person is a impulse traveler, and he would like to book a ticket then and there, and he doesn't do any booking well in advance. So you're just giving a personality to the kind of users who are going to be using the application, whatever you're basically trying to develop. That's where your personas will come into picture. RASI, I think I've already told about. Skill assessment is again one more. It necessarily does not mean only these techniques. You have some other techniques also which you can use, like stakeholder map is again one more technique that we use, where we talk about high power stakeholders, high power low interest, low power low interest, low power high interest, that kind of a thing that we have to do. Stakeholder analysis is very, very important, very, very key important aspect while you're dealing with a change. And if you don't do this, it's going to present huge risk to your the project. That's what happens. And now you basically go to the fifth task, which is determine stakeholder values. Now, when I talk about determining the stakeholder values regarding the product, using elicitation techniques in order to provide a baseline for prioritizing the requirements. Now, this is where you're going to go about doing elicitation tools and techniques. These are pretty common. You must have used all these techniques. And when I talk about the techniques that you use here, you have brainstorming as a technique. You have brainstorming is about gathering information in such a way that you get some creative ideas as an output. Document analysis is something you're studying the existing documentation which is already available. The strength of document analysis is you don't require the involvement of stakeholders. You can do document analysis by yourself. Facilitation workshops, definitely the business analysts need to conduct, where you bring all the stakeholders together. You would facilitate, present a situation. You will create you will facilitate and create an environment where all the stakeholders, because of their with due consultations, will come on to a consensus, and you facilitate the process of bringing them onto the same page. A very important skill required for a business analyst. Focus groups again is a very good technique. Focus group can be heterogeneous and homogeneous. If you're calling only the cashiers of a bank and you're conducting elicitation, that is called homogeneous focus group. If you call cashiers, if you call managers, if you call vice presidents, you conduct a focus group, that is called heterogeneous focus group. That also would have to be, that focus group also would have to be facilitated. Interviewing is a good technique which you can use for elicitation. But if I speak about interview, if you speak about interview is not applicable. Interviews presents itself with a lot of challenges. If you are a large number of stakeholder group, population of stakeholders is very large, then in such a situation, interview may not be working out. Observation is a very good technique, which I think I gave an example yesterday about a retail company having CC cameras and finding out whether those people are leaving their cart or something and they are going away. Research is definitely there, but the shortcoming of research is you would end up taking lots of time to do the research. You have survey and questionnaires is also one more important technique that most of the organizations they basically use. So these are the 5 tasks that we basically speak in terms of needs assessment when we align it to which one? PMI as a body. Okay. I will send these things to you. I will send this as a the material, this cheat sheet. I'll definitely share with you. Any questions here? Hello.
No, right now, no.
Okay, this is about the which particular domain that we spoke about.
Needs assessment, right?
Yeah, needs assessment. And yesterday I spoke that, and I stopped at the creation of a business case. But now in this task of PMI-PBA, it starts at the creation of a business case. And from a business case, you have already picked up a particular project. For that particular project, you've already identified the goals. And for that particular project, who are the stakeholders and how they are affected, and what is the value proposition that particular project, program, or a portfolio of projects are going to bring about to a stakeholder is what you're going to be getting. And another important learning takeaway from today's session is there are some categories of techniques are there, and those categories of techniques get applied in different tasks in the context of PMI-PBA. Okay, any questions? Okay, so this is about which domain? Let me open up again the PMI, this one. So when you talk about the PMI part, I think this is the needs assessment we spoke about. 36% or 18% is something like 36 questions are going to be part from this session of needs assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take up the second domain which I want to speak about. I will explain that concept through knowledge that one also, but I would like to show you what PMI-PBA advocates first. Okay. Now, let's look at this. When we talk about the planning domain, what is the planning domain? The planning domain focuses on the preparation required, the preparation that is required to effectively manage the business analysis activities that will occur within the project. This includes establishing the tools. Policies and procedures for the requirement management plan, requirement traceability, change management, document control, and acceptance criteria. Can you possibly can we discuss this? What exactly does it mean? Let's say I just would like to discuss this in this context, and then maybe move on and explain you this planning in detail. This also has a good percentage of questions when we talk about the PMI-PBA certification. Okay. Let's take an empty slide. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know about establishing tools. I don't know the way the wording is, but in terms of policies and procedures, I think it is, isn't it coming from the organization's own? Remember, we have this process assets, so OPAs. So maybe the establishing the policies and procedures for planning, which means we are saying, okay, this is the baseline. This is how we will plan, or this is how we'll go about planning to collect the requirements. This is how we will go about, let's say, already we have identified stakeholders. So these are the people that we will meet first, and these are the people that we will meet next. And this is how we will actually start capturing. Maybe there is a document format, and we say, okay, this is how we will say this is the high level. Then we will drill down into it or whatever. So, is that what we say by?
Yeah, okay. That's one aspect to it. But let me elaborate and bring all entire thing into a context, and maybe then you will be in a position to relate everything. Okay. So let's relate these knowledge areas now. Oh, sorry, the domains that we have out here. Are you all there? Everybody, am I audible to everyone?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And Babita has not spoken for a long time. I don't know what, Babita. I've unmuted you. You should speak. Oh, I think she. Oh, I did not mute you. You muted yourself. Okay.
No, it was from your side.
Okay.
That's okay because I have little disturbance. I have my kids around, so that's okay.
Okay.
You can mute me.
No.
Okay.
You can mute yourself and unmute yourself whenever you want.
Fine. Okay.
Okay, let's talk in terms of the first knowledge area. So the first domain that we had. What are the first domains that we had? What are the first domain?
Needs assessment.
Okay, now when I talk about this needs assessment, let's take one live example. I'll take one live example. Okay, one example and connect everything together. Needs assessment. Now, one example I would like to take is I'll take an IT example. Is it okay? Because everybody can relate. The example is something like this. What I'm trying to do here. Let me shift to. Okay, let's take an example. I have, let's say there is a bank. What is there? And the bank is spread over 500 locations.
Okay.
And this 500 locations in the bank, in order to maintain these 500 locations, and because since we have people from other country, I'll speak in terms of dollars. They are spending, let's say, they're spending near about $50,000 as an operation cost. I'm just taking hypothetical numbers. Okay, let's take $80,000. $80,000 is what they are spending as a operation cost, quarter by quarter. Quarter by quarter means how much they are spending yearly. It's like $240,000 is what they are spending in a year, correct?
32,000.
18 to 4, 8 is 32. Oh, sorry, 32. 320,000 dollars is what they are spending in a year. $80,000 they are spending in a quarter. Quarter means 3 months. So in a year, their operation cost is how much? In a year, $320,000 is what they are spending, and the top management of this bank is really concerned. They are concerned in regards to, oh God, we are spending so much of money in having, to maintain our offices in 500 locations, and we are spending almost, let's say, close to $320,000, which is a pretty big money, and because of which our profit margins have greatly gone down, and which is not a good thing for our bank. And they are bestowed with this kind of a situation, this kind of a problem. Now tell me what they can do. This is the situation now. I've given you one scenario, what they can do.
Cut costs.
That is what they want to do. They want to cut cost, but how do they cut cost is the question. They want to cut their operation cost from, let's say, from $300,000, $340,000, and they would be very happy if they are able to bring it down to $150,000. That's the goal that they have. The goal they want to have is, what is the goal? The goal that they want is, they want to bring down, let's say, $300,000. They want to bring it down to $1,500. They want to bring it down. This is the goal that they have, and they want to do it in maybe in 1 year's time. let's say by September 2018, September 12th, 2018. This is the goal that they have. Now what they can do, can you tell me?
Automation of the manual processes.
Yeah, manual process is one. So that means you have to do a completely rigorous as-is study, right? Analyze the current state. I think that would require a considerable amount of time. So I'm going to elaborate this example, give you some data, okay? Which will help you too. Are you there with me, all of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you, out of these 500 locations, your 50% of the locations are there in the, 50% of the locations are there in the villages. Okay, I know Canada, you don't call them as villages. Let's say they are in the countryside. Okay, the 50% is how many of their banks are in the countryside? How many? They have 500 locations. Out of 500, 50% are in villages. So how many of their branches are there in villages? 250, right? Oh, sorry. Out of 5,000, it is 2,500. If it is 5,000, out of 5,000 locations, they have it in 50% is in the villages. So that means how many branches they have in villages? 2,500, correct?
Right.
So to maintain this 2,500, you has a staff of, let's say it has a staff of 30 people in every office, and these 2,500 offices are only giving you a business of only 20% of your revenues are coming from these 2,500 offices, but they are taking away 50% of your operation cost. Is it good?
No.
So what you can do?
So I think they can have 5 branches. They can have 1 branch instead of 5 branches. They can.
Very good. That's one option. Yeah, that is where you are coming up with a business case. You propose one option. One option is what? One option. Option number 1. What is option number 1?
Reduce the village branches by one.
Reduce the village branches. So when you are reducing the village branches, what is the alternatives you are suggesting? You have to suggest what is the risk going to be there, what is the cost that you're going to bring. You are suggesting one option called reduce the number of the branches in the villages. That is one option. Any other options, anybody? Hello? Hey, come on. Now let me elaborate the example. Let's say these villages also are nowadays are connected through internet now. Most of these village population are also using smartphones. And the time they come to the bank, they hardly come maybe twice to the bank. In a month, they are coming only 2 times to the bank. So now, do you need to maintain these 2,500 offices? It may not be required. You can knock off these 2,500 offices. Maybe you develop a smartphone application and encourage all the villages to do their transaction through smartphone application, right? Can that be one option or not? I'm just giving an option.
Yeah, but that's applied to even urban branches also, right?
Yes, you can do it, but this is where I'm just giving an option. I'm just giving one option. You can give multiple options for a business case, right? We are doing something like a brainstorming now.
I think you can reduce the number of because the number of people, the number of customers in rural branches are less. I think what you can do is you can reduce the staff working in one branch.
Absolutely, that is also one option. That is also one option. Or you can do is mobile banking. Mobile banking is where a vehicle goes to the villages on some times of a week, where a vehicle goes to the village and they can do the transaction. Because most of these people only come to the bank maybe once or twice. So you're presenting all this information in the business case. One option is having a mobile banks, right? So these options with all the supporting data is presented to who?
Management.
Yes. Now let's say that management has taken a decision. That means when you're doing all this, you're basically working on which one? Which Which domain?
Needs assessment.
Very good. So let's say the management, after considering all the information which is provided by you and your team, they have considered and they said, okay, now we have the maximum opportunity that we see if you build a smartphone.
Question. When you do needs assessment, you need to look at the major stakeholders.
Yes.
What about the government? You know, the local government of the villages. Would they like you to close the bank?
Absolutely.
What about the customers?
Yes.
So do you have to consider that as part of your alternatives?
Yes, and what you have to do for every alternative you're presenting, you have to present the risk. What is the risk of going for that alternative? You go and fire people, you remove the branches in the village. The branch in the village was causing a social cause. It's a huge risk. Brand is going to suffer. The government may be coming heavily onto you. How do you handle that risk? You have to suggest the risk response strategies also. So your business case does not only contain the options, but it also contains all the information related with that option. That option, how much it is going to cost, who are the stakeholders who are going to be impacted, what is going to be the risk, what is going to be the risk response strategy, what is going to be the scope of your option that you are suggesting, how much is going to be the timeline, what are the milestones. You present every information to the stakeholder. That's the way you have to do detailing, not for only one option, for every option that you are presenting to the management in a business case. You understood? Got that?
Yeah.
So, but having presented all that information, that management are they going to pick and choose only one only, or they may have combined two? They can go for like that, right?
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask. Like,
yes.
I can have, net banking in addition to mobile banking, and
Yes. So
I can have
so they can initiate a single.
Sairam, I have one question on this.
Hmm.
When I said that the option is to either reduce the number of branches or reduce the number of people in the branches, I cannot do that unless and until I develop certain smartphone applications or give access to people without going to these branches, right? So if I say developing smartphone application or the mobile applications will be an activity that has to be undertaken under the option 1, right? When I say reduce the number of branches or reduce the number of people.
Yes.
So does it come as an option or does it come as an activity under that option? Because when I say you reduce the number of branches, the very first question that they ask is how the people will be managed. And that will be through smartphone applications. Right? So smartphone application development will be, yeah.
See, your presentation of business case can happen in any way. One option is close down office. Okay. That is one option. Second option is close down the office and give an option of smartphone application. That's the second option. Third option can be close down the offices and reduce your, cut off the village business at all. That's the third option. So for every option, you are giving all the data. So if the option is...
Actually, your voice is... I'm not able to hear you properly, Sairam. I think it's getting disconnected in between. I'm not sure it's problem with my thing or all are facing this problem.
How is my voice to everyone?
Yeah, I can hear you well. I can hear you well.
Hey, Babita, I think that happens. But what I'm trying to say is understand the larger context.
Okay.
You have to present all options with this permutation, that permutation, every option is presented to the top management or the necessary or the stakeholders who can take a call on a decision on which option they want to go for. You're getting it? That's what I'm trying to say. So your business case should contain all that.
So basically business case will have the right.
Yeah.
So it should have the options that I'm going to undertake for solving that problem along with the alternatives that I need to give, right? If I say you do this, then I have to give an alternative saying that instead of this, you can use this. Correct? This is how it has to be formulated for every
That
option.
option itself should contain all that information. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the reason I said each option, whatever you're proposing, you have to support it with relevant data. When I say the data, what all you can do, every data you have to present, financial data, risk data, what with this one, every information is presented. Have you got it? Now, once you present all that information, This information has to be very elaborate, very detailed, addressing everything. Don't miss out on anything. Out of these all options that you have proposed, a senior management, can they pick only one, or they can pick combination of 2-3 initiatives, right?
Right.
So let's say you have proposed this business case. You have proposed this business case in the month of, I'm just taking hypothetical numbers now. You have done it in October. Sorry. Oh, school bell. It is done in the month of November. November 2016, you have presented this business case. Okay. I'm just taking a number. Oh, sorry, the hypothetical date. You have presented. When did you present this business case? Which month?
November.
November 2016, and the management has completely reviewed it. You did 2-3 presentations, and they said, "Oh God, in our context, let's go for." They have given you an approval, and they have given you an approval for going with smartphone application. Let's say, did they give you an approval or not? And when did they give you this approval? In the month of, let's say, December. Hello.
Okay.
So they gave you approval. Okay, go ahead. So 2016 December, they said go ahead and start building up smartphone application. They have given a green signal for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now for that smartphone, now this is what your needs for that smartphone. Whatever you have to build for that smartphone, you have a high level. You have a very high level problem and solution document, right? High level problem and solution document, which is nothing but my business case.
Okay.
Are you with me, all of you?
Yes.
This is happening at the December 2016, and now project manager Babita has been identified, project manager, and now your business analyst happens to be Anand. Now she says, we have got this project now. For this smartphone application, we have to collect the requirements in a detailed way. So Babita calls Anand and says, please tell me how much of time you're going to take to create a BRD or product backlog. Are you getting the point now?
Yes.
As the project started,
Yes.
have you understood my question? You have taken a decision in the month of December 2016. You have taken a call that you want to build a smartphone application. But for the smartphone application, first of all, you have to, if you follow, smartphone application can be developed either by following a predictive approach. Predictive is which one? Adaptive approach. Predictive is which one? Predictive is which one? Predictive is waterfall. Okay. Now adaptive is agile. Now you are there in the month of 2016, and now I am the business analyst. Let's say Babita is the business analyst, and if I ask give this document to her, which is my high level business case, and ask her to translate that into detailed requirements, which, let's take an example of BRD document. I have given this document to her in December 15th, and I ask her how much of time she thinks she can take to create a detailed BRD. What is the answer you're going to give me, Babita?
I need to have a planning phase wherein I'm going to assess all the parameters, the challenges. So it depends on, so for smartphone application, if you say for drafting a BRD, from my side, possibly to 1 month.
Yes, that's the reason, Babita. You will, when I give you this document, you will say, Sai, let me go and do my planning. I'll come back to you after 2 days. I would require 16 hours to do my planning, and you come back to me. I've given it to you on December 15th. You'll come back to me on December 17th. You will say, Sai, I would require 3 weeks of time to create a BRD. Have you got it?
Yeah.
So when did you give me this plan?
On 17th December, I told you.
And yeah, 17th December, and you're saying, assuming the project starts on January 1st, 2017. Okay. So when you say you're going to take 3 weeks, Then I'll ask you one more question, Babita. Please, can you elaborate on 3 weeks, which happened to me my 15 working days? Every working day, what is the activity you're going to perform? What is the deliverable that you're going to be giving it to me? Can you draft or can you document everything and come back to me and give me that complete information? Can I ask you that?
In the sense, you're going to ask me what are we going to do in this 3-week time, right?
Yes, but and that information I'm asking you in the month of December or in the month of January?
December.
Very correct. Have you got it? So you are doing, as a business analyst, you are planning your work for the work that you are going to do in the month of January 2017.
Yeah.
Are we clear? Everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has the business analysis work started?
Not yet.
No.
When it is going to start? When is it going to start? January. It's going to start in the month of January 2015. You are doing the planning in which month?
December.
January.
December 2016. Was it very clear to you?
Okay.
Okay, now I have a doubt on this. Since you asked that question, I have a doubt.
Yeah,
So, see, the planning of the work also is part of my business analysis. So why would I say that only because I'm starting to document it in January, I'm kind of, asking people something and documenting it in January is where my work will start. So isn't it also true or equally correct that the time I got this requirement, whatever I was supposed to develop, from that time my work started? Even to think of a plan, to say that, to come back to you as a project manager that, okay, I need so much time to do it based on some experience, etc. that I have. So, I mean, is that correct?
Can I answer now? Hello?
Please.
Okay, listening.
Yeah, let me answer that now. Always remember, planning is always involved. Many people think, and one more thing that what I'm trying to say, what my observation or my, what I can share that information with you is, you're not started doing any work. You will only start doing your work from the month of January, where you are doing in the 15 days. You are meeting the stakeholder. You are applying a particular elicitation technique, analysis technique. On Monday, you will talk to the stakeholder. Tuesday, you will do the focus group. Wednesday, you will do the research. Fifth day, you will do the review. Fifth day, you will do the verification. That entire work breakdown structure of what you are going to do, you are giving it to me well in advance. You're getting the point? That is, you're giving it to me in the month of December 2016 itself. You're saying you're going to take 3 weeks time. I have requested you to come up with that 3 weeks time. Babita, as a business analyst, can you please tell me what you're going to do? So Babita says, for my smartphone application, these are going to be my stakeholders. To identify stakeholder, profile them, I'll take 8 hours. I'll conduct interviews. This will require that. After the interview, this will be my deliverable. I'll do my survey. I'll do this day. I'll do this. I'll do that. And finally, after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks of January, 3 weeks, that is January 24th, I'm going to give you a BRD, which is approved BRD. That is what she has committed to me in the month of when?
December.
Absolutely. Have you got it? Now, having said that, let me come back to the Indian companies. Now, we think that we don't do planning. Never we do planning and we straight away do the work. I totally agree to that. But please understand, when you're doing your work, every day you're mentioning your timesheets. In the timesheets, you're mentioning what you have done that particular day, what is the work you have done, what is the deliverable that you have done. Are you not mentioning the timesheet or not? Now you take the timesheet, calculate the number of hours you have put in the timesheet. That is nothing but the plan. There is 2 ways of looking at it. One, you plan and do. One, as you're doing it, you're doing some activities. You document those activities. That will give you the kind of effort, estimation, the cost that you have incurred to create a deliverable, to perform business analysis and create a deliverable associated with your business analysis work. Have I made sense there?
So yeah, the planning part is like requirements management plan, right?
Yes. No, but not only requirement management plan, how you will elicit the requirements, who all stakeholders will participate, which elicitation technique you will use, what
Yes.
date you will perform that elicitation, what is the risk going to be for your elicitation activity, which stakeholders are going to engage, how many resources are going to be engaged, what deliverable you will do that, what mechanisms you have in a place to do the review, approval, rejection, all that, what
Yeah.
way business analysis work is
Part
governed.
of
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Sorry,
is already what we mentioned in requirements management plan. Like, what are the techniques we are going to use? Who are the stakeholders and stuff like that?
Yeah, that is what requirement management plan is only one aspect of it. You will even do the planning to the level of. Can I elaborate, please?
Yeah, sure.
You will even do the planning in terms of how communication requirements of a stakeholder has to be managed. That also you will decide in month of December itself. In the month of January, supposedly some stakeholder will come and say, now change this work, whom you have to approach, how your work is going to be governed. That also you're deciding in the month of December. How you're going to be communicating with your stakeholder is also going to be decided in the month of December. Why? Because different stakeholder, different culture, their information needs may be different. Whether you are going to send them everyday report, weekly report, what format of report, all that planning you're doing it in the month of December itself. Hello?
Yeah, so that is communication management plan, right?
Absolutely. So how your information is going to be managed, how the business analysis information is going to be managed, how your work is getting governed, what all work you will do, which stakeholder to approach at which particular thing. For the work that you're performing, what kind of risk you may have. For the work you're performing, what are the parameters on which it will be reviewed, approved, and this thing. All that planning is done before only. You got it?
Yeah, as far as I see, it has to be planned because when we see during the analysis phase, generally we have n number of challenges getting in. We may not catch hold on every stakeholders at a particular time, or we may face challenges in making them understand what we actually analyzing and why we are approaching. So those challenges we cannot take in an ad hoc way. It has to be planned beforehand so that I know that by this time I will be meeting the stakeholders. By this time I will be clarifying my requirements. By this time I will be giving them these deliverables, and so that they are also well planned. The project manager will be well planned before itself that okay, this is how it has to proceed, and they will help us if any challenges occur in that 3-week period. So if we don't tell them that what is our plan, possibly the project managers will not be able to help us out if we face any challenges in this 3 week, and it will cause a delay in drafting the BRD. So planning phase should be really needed before we actually go into analysis stage. Is it right, Sairam?
Excellent, Babita, excellent. But I think Anand was also coming from one point. I think excellently drafted, excellently articulated. That was a very good way of articulating that. But Anand, I think you had a specific question, right? Communication management plan, requirement management. So who was asking that? Anand was asking or Pallav?
No, Anand was asking. I was just adding to it.
Yeah. Let me give you an example. What you are trying to say. Let me put everything in the context now. Can I give that? Hello?
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you're talking about in a SDLC, please understand when you're now I understand you're all PMP certified. That's the reason you're getting that question. I can understand. So in an SDLC, do you have a requirement analysis phase?
Yeah.
And for the requirement analysis, what is the output? Either it a BRD, if it is waterfall, or
Yeah,
otherwise it will be product backlog, right?
Yeah.
Creation of a BRD or a product backlog by itself is a project. And who is the project manager for requirement analysis?
Yeah.
Hey, say that answer. Hey, who is the project manager for requirement analysis? Who is responsible for creating that unique deliverable? Huh?
Business analyst.
That's it. You're getting the point now. Anand. Hello?
Yeah.
So as in the project management, they say that you have to do planning for everything. Here you are the project manager for requirement analysis. You are planning your entire work. What is going to be the scope of your business analysis work? Who are the stakeholders who are going to be there? What is the time that you're going to be spending? What is going to be the risk which are associated? How many number of resources are going to be there? How you're going to manage the quality? All those 10 processes will get applied here. You're getting it?
Yeah.
And all those 10 processes are
like communication plan. Is it going to be coinciding with the as you're saying, when it comes to requirement analysis here, the creation of BRD part, itself we are treating as a project. So some things are like converging, right? Like communication management.
Let me put that also into context so that you have absolute clarity on all the things. Can I put that now?
Yeah.
So let's say SDLC. Now I think you know you will be able to relate it now. SDLC is there. In SDLC, what are the steps? Can all of you tell me that? Requirement analysis is one step, right?
Yes.
Design is one step.
Yeah.
Next is which step? Hello.
Then,
answers. Development. And then next is which one?
Testing.
And then you have a deployment, right? Now let me give you context. Now you will understand everything and you will be in a position to fit everything together. So who is responsible for requirement analysis? Who?
Business analyst.
Okay. Now who is responsible for designing? Technical architect, right?
Yes, sir.
Now development is who is responsible for development? I think lead developer, who is there? Testing, who is responsible? Test manager, right? Deployment, you will have a release team, right?
Yeah.
Correct or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, as a BA, what is that you are responsible for? You are responsible for BRD. Let's say your project is following waterfall. So, if you want to create a BRD, do you need to come up with your own work plan or not? Business analysis work plan. Who will come up with this business analysis work plan?
The PA.
Very good. Now, this BRD has to be converted into TSD, technical specification document, right? Who will convert this BRD into technical specification document?
System analyst. System
analyst or technical architect. So will he spend some time and effort to do that or not? So will you get that design work plan or not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now who will convert it into code? This is going to be the code. Who will do that? Coders. So they will have the code plan. Who will convert it into the test plan? Test plan is done by test manager. Release plan is done by that. Add up all these plans. What will you will get? Add up all these plans. You will get something called project plan.
Project plan.
Yeah. In this project plan, you will have all these plans. Now you understood? Hello?
Yeah, that's fine. Got a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Now, Anand, was it clear to other people? Now you know. Here, for business analysis, the project manager is business analyst, and that's the reason he's planning to do his work. When he's planning to do his work, what all activities is going to perform? Those are nothing but the work breakdown structure. When is he going to perform that work? Who are all the stakeholders are going to be involved? For the work that he's performing, will he have some risk associated with it? How is he going to be handling that risk? What is going to be the communication aspect that you're going to be following to communicate with the stakeholders? How you're going to be dealing with the requirement changes which might happen while you're doing the business analysis work? How you're going to be doing the prioritization? How you're going to be doing the traceability? How you're going to be seeking the approval? In case of challenges, whom you have to approach? All that you're deciding in the month of December itself, and you will start your work in the month of January. That's the better way of doing it. Okay. Yeah, you had a question. Go ahead, Ping now.
Yeah, actually two questions. One is whether you can do all this in December depends on which country you are at. Like in North America, you'd be lucky to find anybody talk to you after December 15.
Now you will not see. That's what is the risk. That's what is the risk you have to foresee. A business analyst.
Now, as a BA to do the planning, you cannot plan alone because you need the consents, not approval, consents of the major stakeholder. Like with the, let's say you want to interview everybody in January, okay? And if a lot of your major stakeholders, let's say in Asia, January is a bad time to interview them because, you know, it's getting into the holiday season, right?
Yes.
Okay. So whether you can truly plan in December to be approved by, let's say, the sponsor and supported by major stakeholder depend on which country or continent you are in. That's my first question. So in other words, those decisions as whether the project can start in December depends a lot on who are the major stakeholders and which country you are at. I believe. So those are the things that you have to consider in the business case. Actually, the second is really a question. Now, after the business case, do you have the funding? Now, you may have authorization to go ahead, but do you have funding, or do you need another approval step to get the project funding?
Okay.
Yeah, that's my question. Like,
Can I
is a business case authorized funding release, or just agreeing to which approach you're taking?
Can I answer now, Ping?
Yeah, please.
So business case will have all the options with all the supporting data, but once the option or a collection of options are chosen, you will create a document that is called project charter. The moment your project charter is created, that means funding is available for the project. Have I answered one question for you?
Okay, so what you are saying is those companies would use project charter as a proposal.
Absolutely.
As a proposal. Okay.
Without project charter, your projects have not gone on board. When we say projects are on board, that means project charter is there, approved project charter. The moment the project charter is created, people are very happy because the funding is available. Overall project objectives are identified, timelines are overall in a very high level, timelines have been identified, everything has been identified. Okay, yeah. That's the question number one.
Now that's a company dependence, because in some, at least the company that I know in Canada, some of them, and also in China, they have one more step, is the physical proposal of the project.
Yeah, the physical proposal of the project can be a part of...
And they don't call it project charter, they just call it proposal.
Yeah, that can be a part of my business case where I come up with cost benefit analysis. All the financial calculations are given in business case itself, but it is all up to you whether you want to make another step. That is up to the organization. See, ultimately, your project starts only when you have a project charter. The charter itself means the project is charted. The word itself means the project has started. The projects only can start when you have financial approvals. That's the key important thing. The projects only can start when they have a management approval in terms of its overall objectives have been identified. Timelines, overall timelines have been identified. Everything has been identified. But that's in a very high level, very high level.
Okay. My last question is related to the decision making. Yes. Because we mentioned about whether we go agile or waterfall.
Let me complete that, Lynn. I only took an example of waterfall in our case, but first of all, when the project starts, you have to decide. That's where Babita should ask me before she does the planning. Our project is following which approach? Is it a waterfall approach or an agile approach? That information has to be required, or that information has to be known by the business analyst, and then only a business analyst can proceed with his planning.
That's right. So basically, that's part of the proposal, because the funding, the way to plan, depend a lot on the overall project approach.
Yes, overall project approach is basically your project, whether it will be developed following a waterfall or an agile. That has to be, information has to be known by the business analyst. Based on that information only, a business analyst is going to plan his work. If it is predictive approach, your business analyst will plan his entire business analysis work before only. But if it is adaptive, your business analysis work is going to be continuously planned, sprint by sprint basis.
Okay, good.
Next point that you said is about countries. Yes, you have to consider all aspects when you're trying to make up your business analysis work plan. That's where your experience, exposure, everything is going to come into picture. You are playing a lead role when you create a business analysis work plan, lead role. But when you play a lead role, you have to seek contributions from all the other stakeholders to formulate this business analysis work plan. And there has to be a mechanism where you have to gauge your performance also. Like Babita would have said, she is taking 3 weeks only for the creation of BRD. That's what she said to me in the month of December. But when actually she started doing business analysis work in the month of January 2017, she ended up taking 6 weeks. So that gives me an input to my organization stating that my business analysis processes are not good. how come Babita gave me 3 weeks of planning, but it ended up taking 6 weeks? Then I will do root cause analysis, try to figure out what exactly are the problems that we faced, how do we overcome that. Now those lessons are going to be documented, communicated to Babita. Now Babita moves on to the next project. Her planning is going to become better. Third project even better. Fourth project even better. Now an organization will reach on to such maturity level that whatever proposal that they give in terms of business analysis work plan to create a business analysis deliverable is going to be a pretty good one, and that becomes a unique selling point for an organization. They say our competency, business analysis competency, is a pretty mature competency that we have. Have you all got that point?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, got it.
Any questions? This is what you have to really understand about the planning process. This was a very interesting discussions that we had today. Any more questions that we have?
Not right now.
Yeah, okay. So let me tell you, when you are trying to do, I have called Babita, I have given her an overall project charter in front of her, or I would have given a vision and scope document. I would have given a very high level document of a mobile application. And I would have said, for this mobile application, you would have to do business analysis and you have to generate a deliverable. So Babita asked me, okay, for this project, which approach we are following? I would communicate that information that we are following Agile for that. She said my planning is going to be based on Agile. She goes back, she does her planning, and she comes back and says, this is the work I'm going to be performing. These are the stakeholders who are going to be participating. These are the techniques which I'm going to be applying. These are the deliverables that I'm going to be generating. These are the number of resources who are going to be participating in doing this work. These are the risks that I foresee. These are the risk response strategies I have in place. Like Ping was asking me, we had a situation where in Pune, they booked the complete conference rooms and everybody, and all the international delegations had to fly down. And that day happened to be a Ganesh immersion day, which nobody foresaw that. I think Indian guys can relate that. So you have to, hello?
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of a foresight you need to have, and you have to. And there are instances where I've seen where elicitation technique had to be done. No room was booked by a particular logistic team, and I could see the CEO and everybody standing outside the room because the room was blocked by somebody else. So those kind of things also have to be planned very well, and you also have to plan as to how your work is going to be governed, who is going to give you the authority to do any changes to your business analysis deliverable, all that planning you do. So you're basically very much acting like a project manager, and the deliverable that you are expected to create either is a BRD or a product backlog. If it is a BRD, it is going to be a plan which is a one-time business analysis work plan. But if it is a product backlog, it is a continuous business analysis work plan that you would have to do. I think that should have given you lots of clarity now.
Okay, yeah.
Any
And
questions?
normally when we talk about risk, right? So it's like it can be a risk regarding requirements, design,
No. We don't speak about design. No, we don't speak about design. Our own work is only for requirement analysis. Our creation
But there
is
is only one risk register for the project, right? So how can everybody maintain their own risk registers?
yes, everybody has to maintain. My risk register is only for my business analysis work. I am not competent to get into somebody else's work who are the designers. I don't know anything about the technical aspect. I'm only concerned about the risks which I may possibly see which might come up for my work. How can I see the risk for a technical architect? Technical architect would have to create his own risk register. Okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there is only one risk register for the project, right? Which covers everything.
But yes, but that complete risk register is not created by only one project manager. That register is a culmination of all the risks which are given by all the individual stakeholders. Okay.
Yes.
So similarly, like a project plan, we think project plan is created by a project manager. Project plan is a contribution given by all these business analysts, technical architect, test manager, your release managers. Everybody will give there. And what project manager will do, He will amalgamate all that information and keep it in the project plan. Got it?
The same thing. So what I worked on is, we don't have very big projects. So ours is only one plan.
So when you don't have very big project, you are playing the role of one guy, will play the role of a business analyst also, technical architect also, developer also, tester also. That happens in small, some other companies where one person will play the entire role.
Roles are different, but when you talk about risk and stuff like that, communication management, we have only one place where people, it's a live document. And
just give me a moment, please. Just give me a moment. I'll just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Hello. Sorry. I think somebody was asking me a question about communication. I'm back again. Yeah. What was the question? Can you please repeat that? Hello.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'm saying is, I think it's an organization specific thing where you maintain your own plans or you maintain a single plan, and everybody updates there. It's a free, it's a live updatable document which people update, at their own convenience, and it's then approved. Whatever changes.
Yes, it has to be done. Like in a SharePoint portal, you'll have, or otherwise in a Jira, you'll have, or some other tools that you will have, enterprise storage tools that you have. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But what essential point that you need to understand, whether you have a detailed plan upfront or not, one thing that you need to understand, everybody's work is billable. If I say as a business analyst I am working, my work is billable. You're getting it? And if my work is billable, I have to give my timesheets. I have to tell what work I have done, what are the deliverables I have produced. I have to give all that, right? So either you do it upfront or you document as you are doing the business analysis work. That is organization specific. Okay. Any questions?
Okay.
Hello.
Not right.
Okay, fine. So just a moment. Let me go back to this one, which is my PMI-PBA's thing. Now let's look at this one. Okay, what exactly? Now you know the context of. Now you know about the planning aspect that we spoke about. Now let's look at what tasks are mentioned in the PMI fund. So that's where you have see here. You got that planning domain focuses on preparation. Planning domain focuses on the preparation required to effectively manage the business analysis activity that will occur within the project. And when we talk about this includes establishing tools, policies, procedures for the requirement management plan, traceability, change management, document acceptance criteria. So you are doing everything in the month of December itself for the work that you will be doing it in the month of January. Okay. So let's look at what are the tasks that we have here. So you have to review the business case, and the project goals and objectives in order to provide context for business analysis activities. That's where Ping was asking me a question. Business case is approved. One of the option is approved. After that, project charter gets created. And that project charter will have high-level project, description, objectives, and then based on that you will plan your business analysis activities. That's what you will try to do. That comes under the plan, the first one. Then you also need to devise your strategy for requirement traceability using traceability tools and techniques in order to establish a level of traceability necessary to monitor and validate the requirements that you have captured because of your business analysis work. And that business analysis work that you would perform in the month of January, but the planning you're doing it in the month of December itself, as to what traceability you will establish, what kind of prioritization techniques you will do, what kind of techniques you will follow to validate the requirements. So that is one thing. And this is where you got that. Same again, the plan is coming here. You develop a requirement management plan by identifying the stakeholders' role and responsibilities, communication protocols, see everything is coming in here, and methods for eliciting and analyzing, documenting, managing and approving requirements in order to establish a roadmap for delivering the expected solution. So this is what you basically try to do, and in the planning part. And you also have to do, this is not like a sequential thing that you're doing. Please understand that this is not like a sequential thing that you're doing. You're also selecting methods for requirement change control by identifying channels for communication request and process for managing the change. And it is something like this process for managing the change has to be decided before only, in order to establish standard protocols for incorporation into the change management plan. This is what you try to do. You also would have to plan for what methods you will use for document control by using documentation management tools, which tool you will use, whether you will document your requirements in MS Word, Microsoft Word, PPT, Excel, or you will use a database. That information also, or that planning also, you're doing for only. And you also will define the metrics for acceptance criteria by collaborating with stakeholders in evaluating when the solution meets the requirements and all. That's what you will do. So this has got 6 tasks that you're basically trying to do when we speak about the planning domain. Got it? Any questions? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clear, Sairam.
Okay, Babita, let's go to the slide where we talk about planning now. Do we see planning here? Hello? Now we have gone to the. Have we got this now? Now, how many things that you have here? Determine project context. You have plan requirement traceability. You have plan requirement management. You have plan requirement change control. You have plan document control. You have plan project expected outcomes. These are the things that you basically have when I speak about. Just a minute. So these are the things that you basically have when you talk about the domain, which I call it as planning. Do you see here?
Okay.
Hello. So when you see here, what are the what are the category that you have? The category that you have is traceability tools and techniques. When you talk about the traceability tools and techniques, these are the techniques that you're going to use: backlog management, issue problem tracking, and requirement traceability matrix. So this is a specific technique as to how you're going to be handling changes which might happen to the backlog. What is the technique that you will use to do the requirement traceability matrix? Also about the issue of problem tracking, all that you will do. And that is when you're doing, you're basically talking it as requirement traceability, which is a part of, let me make it very clear to you, which is a part of business analysis work plan. Okay.
Backlog management, is it product backlog or something else?
Product backlog. They don't use it as because product backlog becomes Scrum specific, and PMI and PBA, they don't promote anything. No? So that's the reason they say backlog. Backlog management is nothing but managing your requirements which are mentioned in the product backlog. Okay. same, you also have to plan for your requirement management. When is it you're doing all this planning in which month? That's my question.
December.
This is again, you're planning the requirement traceability. You are also planning the requirement management, how you're going to be estimating the tools and techniques, analogous, averaging up, bottom up, estimating poker, and parametric. Let me give you an example. I think if you're PMP certified, you would have already known these estimation techniques. What is analogous estimation? Analogous is
historical data, similar projects.
Absolutely, and you will try to say Babita has worked on similar projects which are also related to building a mobile application, and for that mobile application which she developed for other companies, it took 3 weeks. So now she also knows for this project also it will take 3 weeks. That's the analogous this one. What is this? The next one called bottom up. Bottom up is basically you break down into the work breakdown structure, go to the lowest work breakdown, start calculating upward, and then you will get the complete figure. That is your bottom up. You will have estimation poker. I think estimation poker you already know. You go for that Fibonacci series and you try to estimate how much of effort that can be pulled in to execute a particular requirement. That's where it comes. Parametric is where you assign a lot of parametrics. You also can go for averaging. I'm not recollecting what is averaging, but I don't know. I need to check this. But averaging will always be, you have worked on a couple of 7 or 8 projects and all. So ups and downs you might take up and you try to average it out. But all these are the techniques which you're basically trying to estimation in terms of requirement.
PERT comes under parametric or?
Sorry?
PERT technique is also there.
PERT is also there, but they don't mention about, yeah, that's about the planning part, about the entire project that they do. So that way, okay. Hello?
Yeah.
So you also need to come up with a contingency planning. Contingency planning is something which goes wrong. So how you tackle that? Get into contingency planning. Scheduling tools and techniques where you go for that, this is where your precedence diagramming method has come. See, they are mentioned here. You see here? This is for your task that we call it as requirement management plan. Now, you have another one which I basically talk about is plan requirement change control. What is the requirement change control? Who can give you the authorization? Version control system you use. What is the configuration management system? And how your document control is also going to be managed, where you talk about version control system, and define the project expected outcomes. That is, project expected outcomes are nothing but your, in 3 weeks duration, you need to have your BRD ready. That's the SLA that you have committed to your stakeholders. So it's better that you follow that SLA and do that. That is your SLA. And this is one of the other languages, P languages that you use basically to define whatever requirements that you have at all. So these are the tasks that you basically perform while you're in the planning phase. Let me summarize. Babita, mute yourself.
Sure.
So when we talk about this, the key deliverable output of business analysis, planning is business analysis work plan. When we talk about business analysis work plan, as a business analyst, how you're going to be planning your work. The planning is very much dependent on the nature of your project. The nature of the project will determine what approach it will be developed in. If you feel that all requirements can be documented upfront, then you will follow a waterfall model. If you feel that requirements are going to become more and more clearer as you move along, then you follow an agile approach. So your business analysis planning will also depend upon the approach which is being followed to develop your project. So when you are doing the planning, you have to talk in terms of what all work you are going to do, who are all the stakeholders who are going to be engaged, what are the techniques that you're going to be applying as you have to perform business analysis, how are you going to be eliciting the requirements, how are you going to be documenting the requirements, how are you going to be managing these requirements, how are you going to be managing the changes happening to the requirements, how are you going to be establishing the traceability between the requirements, what prioritization techniques you will use, how are you going to be dealing with the communication requirements of the stakeholders, what is the software tools that you will use to document your information, what documentation control tools, what is going to be the risk for your work, what is the contingency planning that you have in place to handle that the risk. This is what you will do in planning domain. Questions, please.
So, one question I had: what do we mean by estimation when it comes to requirements? Like, are we saying how much time is going to take? Just like we do schedule when we prepare the schedule, where we estimate the time required.
Can I answer that now? Yeah. So
yeah, sure.
Babita gave me 3 weeks, and she said I would require 3 weeks, and I would require 2 business analysts to do work. So 3 weeks is equal to 40 into 3 weeks is 120 hours, and there are 2 business analysts. 120 plus 120, 240 hours. Each business analyst will go at $100 per hour. So it's your $12,000 is the cost of creating your BID or product backlog. That's the estimation. So you are not estimating for the entire project. You are only estimating for your own work, for your business analysis. Okay. Was it clear?
Yeah.
Any more questions from anybody? Hello.
Requirements elicitation and requirements traceability metrics. Now, I have only kind of read about this in the PMP literature, but I am hoping to see a detailed level kind of, the way it is prepared, what goes into it. Is that a part of the PBA literature at all, or again it's somewhere outside of, like you just mentioned here? But,
no, it's a part of a BA literature. I have a PPT also. I'll show you when we take up the PPT.
Okay. Sure.
So how requirements are traced and what are the traceability. I'll show you that definitely.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So all of you search my name. Go to Google. Search my name. Send me an invitation. Let me send you these cheat sheets. Okay. So you can go and send me. This is the way you can search me. This is me who is there here. And I would request you to go through one of my the YouTube presentation is also there. I'll share that link also with you. Okay, you can go through that. That's a 1 hour session which is there. So any questions for anybody before we take a break? Hello.
No, not yet.
Okay, so let's do one thing. Now let's take a break now. Let's take a half-an-hour break and come back again. Whatever we have discussed, I will follow the PPT now, the presentation, where it is much more detailed in terms of planning and all. We'll go through that. And after we have done that, we'll again take a break. Then we'll take up elicitation and analysis also. Okay, that's the agenda for the day. Okay.
Sure.
So now it is 9:14 in India, 9:15. So we'll take a 30 minutes break. So 9:45, let's make it 35. 9:50 we should be back. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So I'll catch up with you 9:40, 9:50. I'm okay. So it's okay. I'm closing the meeting and again we'll log in by 9:50. Is it okay?
Okay. Sure.
All of you re-log back in. I'm just closing this meeting now.
All right.
Okay. What I got a message.
No, I just sent to the others. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, so that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me close this meeting and then again log back in 9:45, 50. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you.